The date is February 13th, 2022. You're watching the Super Bowl with your family, and you're wondering if you're going to be awake for work tomorrow. Then suddenly, on your screen, is Kelly Clarkson. When I first heard about the American Song Contest, I thought it was a joke. I first found out on Instagram, so that didn't help, but even if I had heard it from the New York Times, I would have had to check if it was April Fool's. As you might have guessed, it was not April Fool's. The American Song Contest, for a variety of reasons, has caused a lot of controversy, not just in the Eurovision community, but just in general. So now that there's an actual ad for the American Song Contest, and it seems that it is in fact happening sometime this year, and that there is nothing we can do to stop it, I just wanted to give a couple of my thoughts about the American Song Contest and talk about my thoughts in the competition, what I think about its creation, and some concerns that I have about this upcoming adaptation of ESC. Let's dig into the positives first. Let's start off light and then we'll get into some of the more nitpicky concerns and whatnot. So some of the positives of the American Song Contest are that it could educate more Americans about Eurovision. As an American, it has been kind of difficult for me to get my friends into Eurovision or to kind of talk to people about it because very few people in America, it seems, know about it, have heard of it ever. And this was mostly an issue before the 2020 movie came out. Before that, very few people I spoke to even knew what Eurovision was or could even guess what it was. After that movie came out, I think that made it a little bit more mainstream. I definitely saw a lot of people talk about it just a little bit more, and that was nice to see because I was able to talk to my friends a little bit more about what it was and kind of just not feel like I was the only person in the room who knew what Eurovision was. But very few people that I know who knew about it from the movie still follow it today, and very few people that I know anything about last year's competition besides Måneskin. So as someone who kind of follows all the Eurovision news and has obviously been keeping up with the news this year, the national finals and all that, it has kind of felt a bit isolating again because now a lot of the people that I talk to only know about Eurovision from that movie a couple years ago, and a lot of them have honestly just forgotten it. So the American Song Contest being on people's radars makes Eurovision, I guess, a little bit more relevant to the average American who might not have a stake in Eurovision or even know what it is still. That's one minor positive that I see with this. One other thing I wanted to note here, which is I think a positive too, is that the team behind ASC, if you check their website, has worked on Eurovision before. So we're not just getting random people working on this project, we're getting people that actually have experience in the industry, that have worked on Eurovision before and have given us some great shows in the past. And the only difference now is that it'll be in America instead of Europe. So I have no reason to doubt that this team will give us a pretty spectacular show this year. The last positive that I really want to bring up about this contest is that it's aimed at unifying the country. The team at ASC has tried to push the notion that the American Song Contest is meant to bring the country together. And as we know, even if you're not from America, you know that America is a fairly divided country. There's been a lot of political things and issues that we've had over the past couple of years that have made it really feel like the country just lacks unity. And what I like about that goal of unifying the country is that that's kind of similar to why Eurovision was made in Europe. Obviously with the goal of unifying the continent. Eurovision was started in the 50s, and obviously at that time, Europe had just come out of World War II. There were a lot of structural issues and you had the Cold War going on. And so Eurovision was meant to bring those countries together, unite them through the love of music, and I think that was a great thing and a noble goal, and I like that idea for America. But let's get into some of the reasons why I am a bit skeptical about this American Song Contest and just what it will entail. So some minor nitpicks I have before I get into my bigger concerns. One of them is that the contest could lack diversity. One thing I love about Eurovision is that there's so much cultural and ethnic diversity. There are so many styles of music, so many different types of songs, so many cultures, just all in one competition. And in America, maybe because it's just one country, but I am just afraid that there will be a lack of variety in genres and styles. Now, I'm not saying that America doesn't have a variety of different types of music. There's country, there's rock. You can tell I don't listen to a lot of American music. I think it really comes down to the nature of the country itself, right? So the thing is we're having 50 states competing for the crown here. And the thing about states is that states might have some slight regional differences, but they tend to be pretty homogenous on the whole. And there's a quote that I really like, and I'm kind of paraphrasing this quote because I couldn't really find it when I was looking for it, but there's basically a quote that America is the only country where you can go the longest distance and still feel like you're in the same country. So let's say I was in New York and I go to California, I still feel like I'm in America, even though I just crossed the length of an entire continent. Basically what this is to say is that America is not that America isn't diverse, but just that America still feels like America whether you're in New York or California, whether you're in Montana or in Texas. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, I'm just afraid that it could lead to a lack of originality and different styles and new ideas. And that's not to say that America is less diverse, but with Europe you're having countries that have have such long histories and such different cultures competing, I feel like there's a bit more homogeneity in America that could lead to a lack of just original styles of music. And that's just one thing I'm concerned about, because I'm not sure how these states are going to select their artists either. If there's going to be a national final, I'm just afraid that a lot of these states are just going to send the same types of music or just the same types of artists. And that's one thing that really concerns me. Now, the thing about Eurovision you could say is that in Eurovision, we still get kitschy pop songs, right? We get those really cheesy songs that you hear on the radio that you might as well have heard on the radio in America. But these songs are usually not the rule. I don't want to say they're the exception to the rule, but they're usually outshined by more unique and more culturally diverse performances. And I think they're a really important part of Eurovision. One bigger concern that I have is that the contest could become too celebrity heavy, right? Now, America is the center of the music industry. I mean, if you look at LA, for instance, that is basically the center of music and commercialized entertainment. And so I'm just afraid that with this American Song Contest, there might be some big celebrities that can steal the spotlight from everybody else, or just that a lot of these artists that they're going to be sending, that these states are going to be sending, might be more established, might be more famous, and it might actually become harder for artists that aren't as well known to get discovered. So one thing about Eurovision that's great is that a lot of artists that aren't well known, they have a chance to get discovered and really shine on the global stage. And I think in America it's a bit harder just because you might have a lot of big celebrities stealing the spotlight. America is the land of big celebrities. Now in Europe, countries like Iceland, you have countries like Lithuania, countries like Latvia, countries like Moldova, countries that not a lot of people know much about and that have artists that are really fantastic and really talented that you just never would have heard of if they didn't compete in Eurovision. In America, that's not real. I just feel like it's going to be harder for smaller artists to stand out and be discovered. Whereas in Europe, we got some great ones like Dottie Frere. I guess you can even argue Måneskin was lesser known. Obviously this year we have artists like Monica Liu from Lithuania. We have artists like Chanel from Spain, artists like Alina Pash from Ukraine, artists I never would have heard of probably ever if they didn't compete in Eurovision, because Europe just doesn't have the same connections to the entertainment industry that America does, especially these smaller countries that aren't as represented on the global stage. One other concern that I have is that the contest will become too commercialized, that it will become almost in a way like the Super Bowl, which isn't necessarily bad, but I'm just concerned that the intentions behind the contest could be more about advertising than about music, than about bringing the country together. So that kind of leads me to suspect that it could be a cash grab, but I don't want to jump to any conclusions, obviously, but I'm just afraid that the contest is sort of intended to drive ad revenue and not so much to actually celebrate music or really bring the country together. Maybe I'm just skeptical because I know a lot of things are very commercialized here, but I think it is a valid concern because a lot of things nowadays are very commercialized, and not that that takes away inherently from the artistic value of a lot of these events, but I think it could kind of affect the quality of what we get or the ability for smaller artists, for instance, to stand out. And that's just a big concern I have, is that these big celebrities, these people that with a lot of money, a lot of power, can really outshine those that don't have it. And I feel like that's definitely a risk here in America because we have LA, we have Hollywood, we have a huge music industry here, and they can just bring their heavyweight champions essentially into the contest and kind of knock out all the little guys. I don't know if that's going to happen. At the end of the day, I don't want to make any final judgments on the competition until I see it for myself, and I do want it to be good. So while I have concerns and some nitpicks, and I'm pretty skeptical about how this competition is going to go, I do want it to be good. And I want to see the American Song Contest succeed at its goal of unifying the country and just making people happy and celebrating music. But I just feel like it's a bit of a ripoff of the Eurovision Song Contest. It's hard not to feel that way, and I feel like a big part of why they're doing this in the first place is just to make money and not so much to celebrate music and really bring the country together. But that's just my suspicion. Again, I don't know that for sure. I want to see the contest and see it for myself. I just wanted to give a little bit of insight into what I think about the American Song Contest, because I have been hearing a lot of buzz about it just now that we had the Super Bowl commercials, and now that this is an actual thing that is going to be happening in the year of our Lord 2022. So I hope these concerns will be put to rest later this year, but they will remain concerns until I see the contest for myself. Now, I really want to hear what you guys have to say below, because I'm very curious what you all think about the American Song Contest, because this is definitely one of those topics where everyone probably has a different opinion. Most of the opinions I hear about it are negative, so I don't know how you guys really feel about the contest. I just want to hear your thoughts down below. Very curious to see what you have to say. And yeah, with that, I think I'm gonna end the video here. That's just a quick kind of overview of the American Song Contest and what I think it could be like. And yeah, I just hope that this isn't a cash grab, and I hope that this doesn't cause more harm than intended. I'll still be covering Eurovision this year. Maybe I'll cover some of the American Song Contest songs when they come out, but no guarantees. Eurovision is one of my favorite events ever, so I really don't want the American Song Contest to kind of cast a shadow on that either. But yeah, just let me know what you guys think down below, because I think I definitely need to do more research on this to have a more solid opinion. But these are just some thoughts that I'm kind of spitballing out here just because we had that Super Bowl commercial on Sunday. So yeah, once again, thank you guys so much for watching. watching. Let me know what you think down below, and I will see you all next time. Peace.